Everyone quickly realized that after the turtle crossed the finish line that the competition was far from over. Sure, Rabbit had accepted the loss with grace, and but a lot of animals were out of their money and wanted some sort of remedy. But then there were all the animals that had bet on the long shot and were happy with how things were. So here we sit, with debates about racing series, handicaps, odds, and medicals. The talk has gotten quite heated and many are nervous. Come, this matter needs to be settled. There is no time to play. Welcome, everyone, to the 21st episode of the No Time to Play podcast about board games, video games, and all manner of stuff that we don't have time to play, but seem to have time to talk about. I am one of your hosts, Scott, and I'm joined by Matt.
Hello.
Tony.
Hi there.
And the Len.
Yep.
All right. There's the professionalism that we start. This episode's theme is fast and slow. But before we get into that, Matt, where can people find our wonderful archive of previous content?
Well, Scott, they can go to notimetoplaytoday.com and listen to all the wonderful things that we've made recently and will hopefully put up soon because I've been a little slow on the time to play through thing, but it's coming. But they can go there, or they can email us, they can listen to us at iTunes if they search No Time to Play Today for our audio versions of our podcasts. Or they can go to YouTube at youtube.com/No Time to Play Today and see us, but not really us. It's just a picture of art versions of us and all that jazz. But that's where they could see us. And if you ever wanted to write into us, you could do that at notimetoplaytoday@gmail.com and say how great we are at doing podcasts.
Thank you, Matt.
No problem.
All right. Good evening, everybody. So, as I mentioned, today's topic is a bit of a yin-yang of abstract concepts. It's fast and slow. I wanted to bring up this topic because of my recent gaming experience. As we all know, we are in the autumn final days of not the final days, I guess, getting into playoffs for the video game race that we do amongst the members of the podcast. Mm-hmm. So I've been kind of going through a whole bunch of games quite quickly. And as I've been rushing through them, I had a couple games sorry, tripping on my words there. I mean, when I was rushing through these, I thought about, I'm not really stopping to smell the roses. And this what sort of led me to discussion topics. So I guess the one thing I've noticed is that as I'm in the lead, I've been avoiding grindy games, but more grindy in the sense that games that have a lot of repetition. So I guess I wanted to start the podcast off with, what are people's thoughts about grinding as video game design? I don't know if as I get older, I seem to be less tolerant of it.
That's exactly how I feel. Like having played World of Warcraft, having played 11 and 14 Final Fantasies, like it's almost an insult to my time that I have more important things to do than grind for some little bit of something to hand into somebody to go out and get more in hopes that I've got enough of them to actually do what I want on a Saturday night with my friends. No, I'd rather just, do something more fun than that.
Yeah, I'm going to say, I actually enjoy, doing grinding stuff. It actually is kind of, I never do it and then, just do, I'm usually playing or I'm, watching something on another screen and stuff like that, and then I do the grinding stuff. Too. But, even though, hold on, though, because you could argue that you're just grinding for the sake of grinding then, but I'm the actual motion of me grinding is actually almost like a therapeutic thing that I'm doing. I'm working with my hands. I'm going through and doing whatever I'm doing and memorizing the combos that I'm doing. I'm talking specifically about 14.
Like doing scales on the piano or
exactly.
Guitar,
it's literally, it's just practicing. You're grinding and doing it, but that grinding actually makes you better at the game. So when you get to the other parts of the game which aren't grindy, then you are better able to handle those things, right?
You're sharper.
I guess I should clarify with the grinding, because I guess for me, and we know that, I think we've mentioned this previous on the podcast, I am very much a skin of the teeth when it comes to RPGs. As I think many people mention, I'm very underpowered when I get to places.
Mhm.
Yes, I've
And-
heard, Scott.
Yeah.
You're all about the destination, not the journey.
Well,
Yeah.
but here's the thing. I was thinking, like, okay, so say you grind for in the design of the game, is it a matter of getting through the game and then playing it again with the lessons you've learned of going through the whole time to say, you know what, I need to focus on certain things to make myself better versus I'm just going to sit in the first area and run back and forth and punch myself and heal myself and punch myself. And then all of a sudden everything's a breeze. And then I guess what I'm saying is, am I really seeing the design of the game if I've sort of put that cheat in? And I guess I'm saying, is it a cheat and should it exist? I guess is what when I think
Yeah,
of
okay.
grinding.
I see what you mean because there's there's some points where the game will have designed it in. It's like it is necessary for you to invest 20 hours of standby gaming versus the 5 hours of intense action gaming that you're going to get. That I don't like. But if you're playing like a top-down random battle encounters and you've kind of got to wander around the map and you find like this forest or a meadow or something or a hallway in a dungeon that you're getting good experience or good coin off of, I'll hang out there for 3 or 4 or 5 levels or whatever, just to give myself that extra coin or boost up my levels and whatnot, because I don't like to be underpowered going into boss fights. I don't like the struggles. So if I find somewhere, then I don't think that that's like a built-in game necessity, but it's almost like if you're lucky enough to find it, then take advantage of it. But don't write in mandatory work hours for me into a video game.
Yeah, and you'd almost like I almost think that this is almost kind of like null and void these days because the grindy aspect is such a dirty word, and especially in the gaming industry, that games actually are much less grindy these days than they were before. Well, that's not necessarily true, but they've done a
Depends
good,
on the game.
Yeah, they've done a really good. They've done a really good job of making you feel like you're not grinding when you are.
Yeah.
Like, for example, like, even though some people here might argue about the merit of the quests of 14, you're
I'm sorry, 14 of what?
Final Fantasy.
Sorry, we just assume that everybody knows that.
Just assume that if I say a number, it's Final Fantasy.
If Matt says anything about anything, it usually
it's just Final Fantasy. Yeah, I'm with that. Everything from Matt comes with the lens of Final Fantasy. So when Matt sends a number, I know exactly what he's talking about.
Yeah. Well, there is you are doing these quests and stuff like that, and sometimes the quests might be uninteresting or trivial, but that is a way, and as you get later on in the game, especially in the expansion, those quests actually have meaning to it. So when you play the game, it's like you're interested in the story of the characters, and it's perfectly designed to the point where it's like, I've done all these quests for these people and I've really helped these people, and it's like now just by doing those quests I have gotten enough experience to make me at the level of when you're done in that area and they say, oh, now go over here, and then when you go over there you are at the appropriate level to that area.
So do the quests hide grinding? Is that what you're saying? Like, so instead
yes and
of
no.
saying,
I know what you're talking about in 14 because I understand the reason why they're set up the way they are. But if you actually sit down and read the text of some of the things that these imaginary people are asking you to do,
yeah, and that's
go to this place and get me a cup of red wine, then go to the other end of town and get me a crust of bread. Then I want you to go down to the harbor and I want you to get me some disgusting slab of fish, and I want you to put it all together and deliver it to some dude that may or may not appreciate what you've done for him. But what they're really trying to do is you're exploring the town. You're going to every quarter of the village. You're unlocking areas of the map that may throw you, a 1,500 experience. You may come in contact with a new home point that you can then teleport to at another time. It's giving you that opportunity to explore everything. But if you actually read the text, it makes my blood boil.
Yeah, well, that's
So it's
like, and that's why
interesting.
I said I
So
put
just
the
ignore the
caveat of the
text, yeah.
expansion on there because
Yeah.
like that was a legitimate concern from the feedback that they got from the fans because that's saying that the actual quests that the adventure was doing, like they were like completely trivial to what that character ended up becoming. You become the Warrior of Light, which is like this hero that's
Yeah,
known across the
exactly.
world, right? And
Yeah,
that's something they addressed.
You know the Garland Empire is coming, right? Why do I need to get this guy this gluten-free crust of bread from?
Well, that's a problem with I find with most narratives that have these epic narratives of like the world's in crisis, and it's like, well, if the world's in crisis, then why, like,
why is everyone just standing around?
yeah, like
Why?
there's no, like, I don't know how you like they
Unless you scale it
betray.
way back, right?
Well, you betray the false urgency. I think is the big problem. Like, it sounds like these quests are, and I've seen them in tons of RPGs where the town's on fire, but I know the town will be in the same state of on fire as long as until I show up. So as long as I don't show up, I know that no one's dying yet. The house is just, they're just on fire and people are running back and forth. So I can go do side quests and I can go do a bunch of stuff and I can
Yeah,
get
you can
there
get distracted by the alchemy and the pick flowers outside this burning village for 3 hours.
Yeah,
Well,
pretty
that's just a
such
limitation of like they want to give you a narrative, but they're limited on the resources that they can provide, right? So, and also like honestly, a game design of like sure some people would like it that it's a time based thing, and then if you don't go in time, that village burns down. But
Yeah.
like the general player is not going to like that, right? Like
And that
sure,
would be
kudos for
incredibly
real.
hard.
Sorry, go ahead, Lenny.
Just be incredibly hard to do as a programmer
Oh yeah,
because all of a sudden now the story changes, right?
Yeah.
yeah, and then everything that you do after that from that moment is completely
Well,
different.
It's
because...
it's fixed. Yeah.
It's funny you say that. I have been playing Banner Saga 2,
Oh.
and that happens a lot.
Yeah.
There's permadeath for.
I played most of the first one.
Well, I
and
played
yeah,
more.
it was-
How is the first one? Because I've only played the second one.
Oh, it is a punishing game. It is good.
Mhm.
Like it's a very epic story, and I
Yeah.
was like wrapped right into it. But the choices got really hard, and I came up against an opponent I couldn't overpower with the guys that I had. I just couldn't do it. So I kind of came to a grinding halt, and I just never picked it up anymore. But it was a very captivating, very intriguing story. Basically, a mass exodus. I don't know where you are in the second one, but
Well, just tell you. Well, spoiler. Okay, spoilers for people who might be playing Banner Saga 2.
Oh,
But
man.
you make it, but
oh,
you lose a lot of people on the way, and then something bad's happening
Yep.
where you got to, and some of the people split off, and you have 2 storylines.
oh, cool.
Oh, that's kind of
Yeah.
cool. So is it immediate continuation of the first one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's actually really neat.
Yeah, you can actually choose. Now, I obviously didn't have that option because I don't have the first one, but it says you can
Yeah.
continue with your exact same characters. So if you
Okay,
built up a
yeah.
whole people in the first one,
Yeah.
you can carry on with the same level of character. Like the characters are the same level
Yeah, you can pick
as they
them
were
off, yeah.
first off, and you can take them through. And then also the decisions you make in the first one will impact the
Mhm.
second one. Now, I didn't have that option, so at the beginning I had to decide something, and
Mhm.
then I decide that, and then that decides how things are.
Yeah, how it plays
But-
through. Yeah.
So as far as villages being burnt down, the interesting thing is that a lot of the choices you make, certain people can end up dead depending on the decisions you make, and then all of a
Mhm.
sudden those stories aren't available later. And I found this out because I got stuck and I had to go back and I inadvertently made a different decision than I did last time, and then all of a sudden someone didn't die, and I'm like, oh, hey, look at me. So
Yeah.
but
So-
yeah.
Sorry, does it tell like it doesn't give you a heads up? Like, by the way, you can't do like XYZ because so and so died, or
Yeah, it's basically a choose your own adventure, and then if somebody dies, then their options are no longer available.
Yeah, you don't even know.
oh, you
Yeah.
don't
Like,
even know that.
I-
Oh, okay.
I-
Yeah, so it encourages replay through that.
Yeah.
Just make different choices, and you're going to get a different scenario.
the only
But it'll
reason
have like
oh.
specific points of story that are going to happen. So
The only reason why I asked is because in Fallout, I think Skyrim, but I definitely know in Fallout, like if you like kill a guy that you're like a quest giver guy, it'll
Mhm.
tell you it's like, okay, you can't do these quests anymore because you killed this guy.
Yes, somebody's dead.
Now,
yeah.
Banner Saga, because it's a Viking tale, is not that kind. You will have misery and stuff, and you have no idea that you probably possibly could have avoided some of that misery.
Yeah,
But
a lot of it was being hungry and wounded. There was a lot of constant hunger and woundedness.
yeah, there was a lot of that. So for people who don't know what Banner Saga 2, it's sort of a tactical a game, a RPG tactical game. So you have this caravan of people that are running away from this thing called the Dirge, which are these very annoying sounding, very eerie golems that are basically destroying the town. So this one group of people get together and have this thing called the Banner, where all the clans are stitching their clan signs into the Great Banner, and they're all going together to the capital of Ereban, which is considered the safest place in this fantasy Norse world. So you have to manage food, and you have to manage your units, and you have to, and occasionally you have these decision points come up, like you see a boy stealing, food from someone. Do you XYZ?
Kill him.
That's an option.
That is an option.
But then, of course, you then have to deal with the fallout of that.
Kill them too.
You're half the caravan dies.
Yeah, exactly.
Less people to feed.
And then,
but then people will leave, or or there's like certain refugees you come across along the road. They turn out to be a band of thieves and steal off with 4-day supply of food.
But imagine. You also have like your party that you're building with experience. So say you kill that kid, and it turns out that kid is friends with the son of one of your axe-wielding Vikings that you've built up to level 8, and you're so happy because he has these extra powers, and then he walks away. And he just says, I'm done. I'm not being part of this. So your decision to do that would cause that to happen. That sort
punishing. I did say punishing, right?
I'm like, I don't know, man.
And the combat's pretty brutal too, because it's waves. So like you'll get a group of guys come in, you take them out, and then you have another extra guys come in, and then you're like, take out the leader, and then you're like,
you think you've got everything all under control, and then no, there's 6 more guys on the screen, and you're like, damn it. It's a good game. I think it's like the genre and the style, I think, is very much yours, Matt, but it is a very hard game.
Yeah, actually, like I have it for the PS4, and when the last time Scott was up, we played a little bit. We played like the tutorial battle and stuff, and the artwork is like amazing. I really liked it.
It's a very pretty game.
Like that. But I keep hearing horror stories like the ones you guys just said, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to play it.
I will say that the second one is apparently easier than the first one, because they put in stuff where the clansmen, which are the refugees that go with you, can actually, if you meet certain thresholds, they produce food. Like they forage for food.
Yeah.
So
it was just basically anything that could carry in the caravan, and that wasn't much. Yeah. And I immediately realized I had more mouths to feed than I had food to carry. So we were basically pillaging every farm we could find just to support ourselves. And people were starving to death on the roads because I couldn't feed everybody. I'm like, well, that sucks. Keep walking. But sorry, back to the topic. What I say is, like, I don't find I felt with the discussion about grinding, like there is like key battles in it, and you do lose people, so you might go back and like go through, or you can just soldier through like I have. Like I've just made it to the end. But you know what? The game is a relatively about 10 hours, 12 hours. I'm actually interested in playing it again all the way through. Like, and that was sort of what I'm wondering, if that might be a better design solution for games necessarily than allowing people to make them shorter with more creative replayability, as opposed to,
or even like with the Final Fantasy, the epic tale of Final Fantasy, like even if you had it in like sections, right, like, or chapters or epics, like, you know what I mean? Like you imagine, Matt, you played Final Fantasy 18 and they decided to have
I like where you're going.
Section 1, like book 1, which is like, you know, the tales of the fire dragons or whatever, and you finish that, and then it's like, do you want to continue or would you like to replay? And so you force yourself all the way through the first book, you finish the story, you're, you know, it's like kind of like the first book in a trilogy. You're like, well, I could keep going just because I want to see where the story's going, or you know what, I'm not happy with the way I made certain decisions and I'm kind of interested in exploring the mechanics a bit more. I'll go back and go through. And that's what this felt for me. Banner Saga 2 is like, you know what, I'm going to just get through it, and then I think I'll go back and go through it again. I kind of felt that way when I did Around the World in 80 Days. That story as well. Like I'm just gonna get through, and then lessons learned. I'm gonna go back and I'll do better.
Well, you could argue that the the Telltale series is very similar to that, right? Because it's episodic, right?
So after every chapter, you can go back or proceed and change your results so that the story is more favorable or more of what you were expecting.
And
I found I did that a couple of times with Wolf Among Us. I was like, nah, that was a little too aggressive on that one. I'm gonna replay it.
Well, Wolf Among Us is like, it's super like I was having trouble with a lot of the choices because I'm like, wow, both of these choices really suck, and I was like, And like the cool thing about Telltale as well is that not only does it it's episodic, so when you're done an episode, then you can either go on the next one, but it'll actually, before it goes to the next one, it shows you all the choices that you made and compare them to everyone else that's playing the game as well.
Yeah.
So it's like you can did something. It's like, oh, I did a choice that everyone else did too, or you can do a choice that's like, wow, only 14% of the people chose what I chose, which is kind of cool to see as well, right?
Yeah.
Dude, what did you think, Lenny? I know you're a big fan of Wolves Among Us. And grinding.
It was a great game. I love the art style. It's hard to say if I liked The Walking Dead more, but it is a good game. On the subject of grinding, I don't give much thought, surprise to that kind of does it fit the narrative kind of thing. I enjoy grinding. I also enjoy
we should point out you're like the only person that's finished a baseball season in a baseball video game, I think, out of any of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Grinding is fine with me. I especially like you kind of mentioned at the beginning, like do you stay in one area, do you grind, and then when you get somewhere else it's kind of a breeze. I enjoy that. That's something I enjoy doing in a game.
Yeah. When you sell some super boss and you just crush him and
you're just like
three turns. And you're like,
I was in the first area for 20 hours, so just walk right through this guy. And at some point you get to a spot where okay, this guy's a bit hard, and then you kind of step back. Eternal Sonata, great example.
Ugh.
That's my game for 2017.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll ever finish it, but so you just kind of
complete sidebar.
You get to the end, and now I don't know if I really care enough. So I mean, that's probably a bad example, but most of the time, like the first Final Fantasy, you just you run out of the town, you run around the town for a little bit, walk back into town, heal yourself, buy a spell, come back out, same thing, do it over and over and over again. I enjoy that.
With Final Fantasy, you can get away with, like the first one, you can get away with about 3 to 4 hours of grinding, and that'll take you through the rest of the game.
Yeah.
Especially once you get the boat and you go down to the Elf Kingdom, you just kind of go to the right and you fight a bunch of snakes and stuff like that, and ogres, and then you're good to go. You do that for 3 hours and you're good for the rest of the game because you got tons of money because the ogres are rich apparently for some reason.
If you've got pockets. That's a Final Fantasy thing. If you've got pockets, you've got money.
Yeah.
So.
and like I say, the narrative doesn't bother me at all. Like World of Warcraft or whatever. Like, hey, go collect 10 tiger pelts.
You're like, all right,
or whatever. I'm like, all right, I'll be right back. It doesn't. Yeah. I like it. It's good.
Lenny, the working man RPGer.
Right.
Well, I think
you need red wine. I've got it for you.
Yeah, I got it. I'll go get your
that cat out of the tree.
Yeah. After I get that cat, though, I'm gonna save the world. You got it. All right, let's go.
The difference between I think World of Warcraft though does it makes those quests make a little bit more sense than in Final Fantasy, because World of Warcraft is you're just an adventurer guy that is for hire, you're kind of like a mercenary up for whatever, and a story is happening around you. That is there's big characters in the story, but it's you're obviously a huge part of it, but it's not you specific. It's not oh my god, I need you to help me with this. It's there's a big thing going on, and then you're just doing what you can to help out. But in Final Fantasy, particularly 14, you were like, everyone's like, dude, you're the dude. Now go get
Yeah,
me some
you're
wine.
you're very
Now
special.
go get me a sandwich.
You know what's interesting?
Exactly.
Dragon Quest had that as
Exactly.
well. Dragon Age. Dragon Age.
Yeah.
It has that a lot of that as well when you came to town.
hmm
Like, I'm not talking to so and so, and I need my laundry back. So can you go get it?
Yes.
All right, I'll go.
Yeah,
get
that's
your
very
laundry back.
true. Yeah, so that's why I stopped doing a lot of the quests in that one and just stuck with the main story,
Yeah, and I
which
wonder
then which then renders you a little less power.
Then-
Like I think there's
then
like
you're-
10 levels in that game, and
Right.
I was only
Then
at level
you're-
7, and I was in the end
You're
game.
in Scott's school of RPG is what you're in at that point.
where it's like,
Exactly.
What are you? How did you get through that guy? Well, I had 80 ethers with me, and then I cast.
Yeah.
I cast level
cast and
1.
drink and cast and drink.
Drink.
Mhm.
The thing about, I think it might have something to do with, like, it's just like these menial quest things, like I think they're just like of an older design game, because it's like when you get like kind of like new progressive games, especially like, I don't know, like it's hard to say, like it's hard to think of an RPG that does it.
Banner Saga.
Well, Banner Saga, that's more of a strategy RPG. It's not really like the traditional crazy RPG, but like I want to know
Traditional crazy RPG.
traditional crazy RPG.
Traditional crazy RPG. Trademark,
But like
man. Wow.
there's a MMO called, I think it's called Secret World,
hmm
and the guys from Extra Credits talked about that, and they said that it's too bad that game didn't do really well, because they said that the quest design in that game particularly is better than any other game that they've played, and that's high praise.
Yeah, I guess
for
Fall-
Extra Credits.
Fallen London would be another one that has a lot of grinding in it. They've kind of colorfully done through funny text. Like,
Yeah,
you have to
like-
keep repeating the same thing over and over again. But even then, like, you get to a point where you're like, I'm doing the same stories, like same little short stories over and over and over again, just so I can get enough resources to unlock another story so I can do new stuff. So that's another sort of grinding kind of thing too.
hmm
But
Yeah,
I was
it's kinda, sorry, it's
Go
an
ahead.
interesting topic just because like when you think about it, it's like, wow, like pretty much every game in some way has some form of grind too. It's like
Well-
it's how they either mask it or make it so the grind is fun. Because if the
Yeah.
grind's fun, it doesn't feel like a grind, right?
Well, it's like the puzzle game. Like, I would say puzzle games have probably the least amount of actual grinding in the game. It's more like dead stops. Like, I was just that one other game I finished was Braid, and I'm like, when I was playing Braid, I would get stuck, but it wasn't like I could grind. It's like, no, I have to sit here and think
And figure it
Like-
out. Yeah.
and figure it out, right? And so I'm very proud of myself. I looked at the internet once and I was so angry because it spoiled it, because the guy was doing exactly what I was doing. I was just my timing was off, and so I was like, oh, I was right all along. But anyway.
Well, that doesn't count then. You didn't cheat. It's all right.
Thanks, Matt. That can be a topic for another podcast. But yeah, when you think about puzzle games, like, and even RTSs, like, is it a grind when you play? I'm going to play 20 games to get good at it. Like, like an RPG.
I never thought of it like that. Because
Yeah.
I'll sit down and I'll play Age of Empires for like 3 hours at a time, and that's like one game sometimes. But it's just like, because once you get your walls up, then you can just hunker down and amass your forces. But then doing that, like, how many times in my life have I sat down and played that game? Like, I never thought of it really as grinding. It's just, yeah, it's interesting.
Well, because it comes into board games, because back to Netrunner and
Mhm.
card games and board games that you play, like, it's the same thing. You're doing the grinding is probably a little more entertaining, and it's not called grinding in board games. It's just called repeated play, right? Like replay, like you play the game over and over and over again. And as you play it more, you start to notice stuff. You start to figure out things. Board games aren't known for their narratives, so the theme gets you the first time, like, oh, I'm little cute Romans doing whatever, and then
Little
eventually you're
cute
like,
Robin.
I guess nobody really looks at it like they're grinding the Harry Potter series. It's like, oh, I've read this book like 8 times. They're grinding Harry Potter. It's like, why can't we just explore and experience these different styles of storytelling in our own ways? If wandering around and chopping down trees for a 7 experience while watching pretty computer generated sunsets while watching, a box set of Battlestar Galactica in the background, then who's to judge your happiness?
Yeah.
Well, that's true, but like the thing about like if you grind like quote unquote grind through like a Harry Potter book, it's different because you're essentially grinding through the books as opposed to like I think we're talking about more
Yeah, but
of
here's
a
the thing.
micro, like in the game there's sections that
See, I would argue grinding would be like you take the Harry Potter book and you read chapter 3 of the Philosopher's Stone 10 times so that you've memorized it completely, and then you use that knowledge to get yourself through the rest of the Harry Potter books.
Okay, all right.
Whereas what I say with Banner Saga, I'm saying when I experience that one is I'm reading the whole Harry Potter series, and then I'm going to go back and I'm going to read through the Harry Potter series again. Would be how I would play. Like, I guess I'm leaning towards the argument that I feel your grind should be repeated play, as in you go through the whole game so many times. But again, I tend to lean towards shorter games. Like I figure 20 hours is the top for me now. And so for me, I'm like, well, if I can like play a 10-hour game 3 times, I enjoy that more than necessarily playing a 60-hour game, if that makes any sense. But again, that's a matter of taste.
But that's more of like the life you live now, right? Like all of us like are busy and adults. And stuff like
I can't play anything in real time anymore. Everything's got to be turn based because I've got to jump out of my chair at a moment's notice.
But it's interesting. Back to the art now. I'll get to Tony's thing about RTS. So like I guess with grinding with like, would you say when you play a new RTS game, do you like sit down and like play quickly through the first one just to see what happens, or do you like methodically like go very slowly through it? Do you read the menu, like how do you approach it, I guess would be an RTS versus say an RPG?
Well, when you're playing like a main campaign, I find that there's usually a sense of urgency that there's like generated, units being released at you, and you've got to repel the attack or, go on the offensive or, meet certain objectives. But I find that once I'm in a position to, like have my defenses comfortably established, I'll then take that opportunity to kind of tinker and experiment with what the units can do, or some of the special units, or take that time to really kind of explore the options of what the tech tree or whatever. I'll learn all of that stuff in the game while it's happening, as opposed to sitting down and reading the Civilopedia ahead of playing the game.
I still find that funny. I don't know why I find that.
The Civilopedia.
I just find that so. I don't know why I find that funny.
But as soon as I find something interesting, I'll go look it up, as opposed to hoping that everything is interesting and reading about it ahead of time.
Yeah. Now, Lenny, I'm interested on. Now, you are our everyman, RPGer who's saving cats and delivering wine and finding lost boys and stuff and girls to bring them back to the orphanages. So when you approach a game, do you do research ahead of time, or do you like tinker with the menus, or do you just like, I'm just gonna go help everybody?
Yeah, I do. I do all that stuff. I kind of learn the mechanics of the game, but I also go out, and I just kind of I probably wasted a lot of time, but I'll travel the entire, say, the town or whatever, and just kind of see what's going on. And I'll try to gather up as many quests as I can, and then I'll go do them, come back, get more quests. It's kind of how I play that.
So that's like a pretty much like like you're methodically going through, and you're starting in the
a quest completist.
Yeah, like I will exactly. I will go through. Again, wasting probably too much time. And if I can't get something, if I'm missing something in a quest, I will try to find it, even though it's probably unlocked by doing something else. I'll waste time trying to find out how to get it to do that quest.
Oh, okay. So like you like finish one quest before you even do another one.
I try to do a bunch at once.
No, I mean, like, but as you're doing a bunch, like, do you mean you're going out and you're just, like, because it's like, if you need, like, 10 wolf pelts and 3 clamshells, but they're from 2 different quests. Would you if you can't would you do the wolf pelts first and then go the other ones?
Do you make a grocery list when you go questing? Is what Matt's basically asking. Like, do you say I've got to get cilantro and
No, I would never get
paprika? And, well, no, but the guy in town wants cilantro, not you.
I would
murder the guy.
I would attack him and kill him.
Well, if I know that somebody's going to want something later, like the whole replayability, it's like, well, if I'm out in this neighborhood where I know that I can get cilantro on the cheap, I'm going to stock up because I know that, when I get back to town, the guy next to the guy is going to unlock and say, hey, I sure would like some extra cilantro.
Yeah, but then that's the guy that he needs like the special cilantro, and you're like,
no,
I just
the high
wasted all the
quality
money on
cilantro.
the regular
Dijon
cilantro.
Yeah,
the Dijon cilantro.
Video games where anything is possible.
Anything's possible.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. And I guess my last question to Len before we go to Matt is like, do you play? You don't play any RTSs, do you? Like real time strategies?
Almost none because I'm not much of a PC guy. I mean, my PC will run things, but I don't appreciate real time strategy on consoles.
That's valid.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really doesn't translate very well into to a console, just because the mouse is the mouse and hockey situation for an RTS is way better than what a controller could provide.
Yeah. Click and drag, but you can't. It's like you can still click and drag with a controller, but it's just not the same.
Yeah.
I'm surprised no one's just said plug a USB mouse and keyboard into your PlayStation, and you too can play this game on your PS4 with your 4K TV.
There are probably games you can do that in, but I don't think I'd like to sit and play with my mouse and keyboard on my coffee table, right? So
yeah, that's true.
I'm pretty sure you could play Diablo 3 on the PS4 with a mouse and keyboard, which is kind of an odd game to do that because actually it's really done well. Like the controls for it are done really well, which you wouldn't think that they were, because Diablo is kind of like a quasi RTS, in style, obviously not in function.
No, small tactics, right?
Yeah.
Or squad tactics. I'm not as hip as I think squad tactics is the word for it. So Matt, how about you when you approach a quest? So you're not a grocery shopper?
Well, hold on. What am I playing?
Well,
I honestly think that I approach different games differently, right? Like if I play Telltale's a bad example because it's pretty much story based. But if I get hooked into the story, then I'm in the story to the point where I can't even I'll play the Scott School of Gaming if the story is real. If the story's really good, I'm I just want to know and stuff like that. Eventually,
you're just gonna shoot through the main and then not do the side quests. You're gonna wait till later to do side quests. Or?
Yeah, if the story is good enough, then yeah. But sometimes, some games, it depends if they've done the story well or the world well. Whatever's better is what I do. So if the world is done extremely well, then I'll do for Infamous is a great example of that the story's good too, but the world is so much better that I would go and explore and do everything and do every little side mission before I go on to the next thing, and then I get to the next thing, I do everything, and then by the time I beat the game, I've actually 100%ed it in one go. So Infamous, since the world is so awesome, I'll kind of do that completionist style. But with games like some Final Fantasies and some Telltale's a bad example again, but if a story driven game, Uncharted, that's a great one. So Uncharted, I'll just blast through the main story because the story's so good. And the world, it's not saying that the world is not. I'm just saying that the story is the focus, so I'll blast through it. And then if the world is the focus of the game, then I'll do a checklist thing.
All right. So what about puzzles? What about puzzle games and RTSs?
RTSs is hard because I only play RTSs with Tony or John. And,
oh yeah.
And so we don't. I usually I think StarCraft is the only one I actually play the campaign on, because with Age of Empires, I don't even know what the campaign is. Civilization, I don't know what the campaign or scenarios or anything is. I just go
Have
play.
you not read
Really?
the Civipedia?
Well, like sometimes I
Only
do.
when you need it.
Only
Yeah,
when I
you don't
need it.
just like, you know what I need? A Sunday afternoon where I can sit down and read 15,000 pages of useless information. No, just wait
of a fake
till you
world.
need it, and then just click on that hyperlink and it'll take you to exactly what you need to know in that moment.
Yeah, but like with with RTSs, I literally just gotta go and figure it out on the way, and then usually either Tony or John, they'll say, "Hey, do this," and I'll be like, "All right, cool," and then
Yeah, and like most of the stories, like Age of Empires, for example, a lot of the campaigns or scenarios are like, this like the story of Robin Hood or King Arthur or something silly like that, or Attila the Hun's treks, and it's just what we want out of that game is what we get. We get something that's easy for all of our computers to run, that we can all play simultaneously together and have fun and enjoy it.
yeah.
Mhm. And then puzzle games?
Oh, puzzle games? I just play the puzzle. Like there's only really one way to play the puzzle game.
Well,
is
I'm
to do
playing
the
a game,
puzzles.
yeah, Microcosms. I don't know if anybody's heard of this game. It's basically you play single-celled organisms that are building antibodies, and you have to kind of take over other cells. And I don't know if I would consider this one a puzzle game, but there's definitely certain strategies that you can take, and everybody can play and have victory through whatever strategy or tactic you choose. But
Oh,
That-
weird.
That's a Steam game?
Yep.
Oh, okay. I'll look at it after this.
yes, do check it out. It's kind of cool.
What about The Witness though? Because in The Witness you don't just start with one like
Oh, The Witness. Well, The Witness is kind of a special thing because
Well,
the
it's
and Myst.
it's like Myst.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like but those are kind of special because like when I think of a puzzle game, I think of like they just give you a puzzle and then you do the puzzle, right? Like, and then you go on to the next one, kind of like a linear path of doing puzzles. But you're right. Like with The Witness, that's a puzzle game that.
Yeah, and I'm also thinking of the Talos Principle and
Oh
Portal.
Oh yeah.
Portal to a lesser extent because it is a level-based structure as well, right?
Yeah,
So you would go to
but you
each
basically you're locked in a room and forced to unlock the puzzle. Some of them are easy, some of them are tricky. Same with the Talos Principle. You're given certain tools X, Y, Z, and when you're done, you leave the tools behind, and whatever tools are in the next one, you've got to find your way to completion through there as well.
Now with the Talos Principle, like it is like you go from one puzzle to another. Like you can't just skip anything. You have to do it in order.
No, you don't have to do it in order.
Okay.
But basically, you're dropped off on like a level or a world. It's been a while since I've played it, so I'm not 100% on how it actually went out. But basically, there were certain locked doors that required a certain number of puzzle pieces that could be arranged to fit into the lock and go. So you needed to have the right number of puzzle pieces, and
Oh, so that sounds like Braid.
it could very well. I don't know.
Yeah, you have to go through the level and figure out and get all the puzzle pieces, and before you can move on to the next section.
Yeah.
Lenny, did you play the Talos Principle?
I did not.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought you did.
No, Mike bought it though.
Oh.
Yeah, it's been in my Steam library for a while. I remember I played it really intently for the first probably week and a half that I had it, and then other things came up, and then I tried to go back to it, and I just stumbled around in the world and started kind of exploring it around and lost interest again. But I'd pick it up again and probably start it from the beginning and try
I'll
and
say
play
one.
right through.
I'll say one thing. Going through my archive to get my count up, going back to puzzle games, it's really helping my self-esteem because a lot of these puzzles I figure out now. I'm like, oh, this is easy.
Oh, you pick it up halfway through. It's like, oh, now why didn't I think of this last time? Why?
See,
Yeah,
I
exactly.
have the opposite problem. It's like
Yeah.
I get back to a game and I'm like, I don't remember anything of this.
Yeah,
and
just
then
have
I
to
start
start
over.
Yeah.
Well, The Witness, like for people that don't know, is that like you're on this island and you can go anywhere on the island, and like it has different puzzles. Now the problem is that like there's a certain type of puzzle that you go in, and you have to like you're essentially getting one thing to another thing, like through lines and stuff like that. But as you go on through
the puzzles, all the puzzles are you have to draw a pattern.
Yeah.
Like imagine you tracing your finger through a grid from one side of the grid to the other, but everything is a different combination of that. So
and
for
it
instance,
slowly adds things to it. So like you'll get to it's like, oh, you just have to get from one side to the other. Okay, no problem. This is like super easy. And then as you get further, it's like, okay, now your line has to go in between black and white ones to keep them segregated from each other. And you have to make it to the other side. And you're like, okay, no problem. And it's like, now you're going to have two lines that go out and they can't cross over each other, but then they both have to go to their separate things.
This sounds a lot like Talos.
It does?
You've got a lot of like laser beam emitters, and you've got to be able to ricochet your beams. And once you cross beams, they cancel each other out, and they different levels and different angles. Yeah,
the same
puzzles.
idea. But the cool thing about The Witness is that I'm like, I could go to the other side of the island, but I just might not know. Like, because usually there's, like, kind of, like, a learning puzzle. And it's like, oh, this is how you do it. And it's super easy. And then they get super complicated as you go on. But if you go to the other side, it's like, oh, I just don't know. I don't know, like, essentially you're learning a new language. It's like, I don't know how to do that because I haven't seen the puzzle that kind of teaches me that.
Yeah.
And well, I think the one moment for me, which sold me on the game, which is why I'm going to probably pick it up, when we were playing at your place, Matt, or I guess technically Lenny's place, when we discovered that drawing in the mountain, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh my gosh, that's at the bottom of the windmill. We have to go to the bottom of the windmill. That is completely attached to it. And then, no spoilers because it's a puzzle game. I don't want to ruin it. When you get down there and you use what you learned from the mountain and underneath the windmill, it unlocked
like a really cool thing.
And I was like, I'm sold. Like I was like, this is amazing.
And then and then it reminded me of the other one. I'm like, oh wait, I remember when I first started playing this game, I found one of these, and it's like, so we went back to that, and I literally had my iPad taking pictures of the game on the TV screen, and then we went back, and then I'm like, okay, you have to do it like this, and I was like, it was really cool because it's like. I like that kind of like you're using like you're like either drawing or taking pictures of things like you're like just so you can remember them to take them to another area and like do stuff like that, right? So yeah, it's a really cool game. I want to play more of it because like, and it's just also gorgeous too. Like the art style on it is so amazing. That game is weird though because like that game. I just go and I try to do what I can do, and if I can't do that, I look in the surrounding areas to see if there's something that will teach me how to do the thing I was stuck at.
Yeah, seeing if there's like a step you missed somewhere or something like that.
Yeah, because like that happened on multiple occasions. Like we would find something, it's like, oh, you could do this, and then it's like you go and then you unlock other stuff.
I also found it fascinating, like when the group of us were playing, like you would be like, oh, I don't know what to do here, and then I would know what to do, and I would solve the puzzle, and then there'd be other points where I'd just get stuck. And then you say, let me try. And then you would get through it.
Yeah.
Like the fact that each of us can think differently, that we can approach each of these puzzles. And some puzzles are just easier for us than other puzzles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it's pretty sweet. Yeah, that game is a lot more fun when you play with a bunch of peoples because like it's just, yeah, I would super recommend it. Actually, Tony, it's on sale right now.
It's 30.
Yeah, it popped up on my Steam. I stuck it on my wish list. I might have to take a look at it again.
Yeah.
Is it on sale on the PS4?
That I don't know. I would have to
no. Although I did some research on Jonathan Snow. Now that I'm trying to figure, or Jonathan Snow. Yeah, I know a lot about Jon Snow as well, but
apparently he knows nothing, so don't worry about
it.
He's gonna be king. It's always the one that knows nothing.
Yeah, and it's the one that don't like. Whoever wants to be the king the least is the king.
Because he's like, I don't want to be king. It's terrible. I don't want to be. It's an awful job. Oh, well, he should be king because he doesn't want to be king. Therefore, he should be king. If you're too eager, they're like, you're up to something. And that is our commentary of Game of Thrones right there.
Yep.
So, I where were we? We were talking about the Witness puzzle
Yep.
games. Oh, sorry. Just to sort of wrap up grinding, I guess the one question I have left, would you say that is there much of a difference between playing slowly and grinding in your mind? Like playing a game slowly, which I argue from this discussion, I think Lenny plays the game slowly. I don't think Lenny grinds. I think he just works his way slowly through games versus where you just race through and then you stop and then you grind a bit and then you race through and grind a bit. Like, I guess, do you think there's more value in going slow, or do you think it's better to go fast?
Slow.
And then
Slow every time. Take it over.
That's a hard one.
I think it really depends.
Yeah, I
Like,
was about to say that too.
It really depends on what the game is, what your time frame is like. Because I think it kind of speaks to the flexibility of the game, whether you can, pick up and play for 5 minutes, or whether you're sitting down to play for 2 hours, or whether you're into something a lot more epic than that. As long as there's something for everybody, I think that if you're happy doing it that way, then go for it.
Do you think it's better to make a kitchen sink game which can accommodate both play styles, or do you think it's better to have specialized?
I think that if you're in like an MMO situation, it's important that you have both,
Yes.
but make it not necessary to do both. Like I'm trying to think of a good example, but I can't right now. But like I want to be a fantastic wizard, but I don't give a shit about lumber. So I don't want to be a lumberjack. Don't make me be a lumberjack. Don't make me go fishing. Don't make me be a miner. Don't make me, be a gladiator. I want to be a wizard, and I don't want to have to, go outside of that. That want to deviate from that path just because they want me to play the game for more hours. I want to play the game and enjoy my time there.
Now, does Lenny like to be a lumberjack wizard?
No.
Whoa, lumberjack wizard? Sign me up.
Oh, look at Matt. Matt's like, oh.
Oh man, I would totally be a lumberjack wizard. Well, because then you're like cutting trees down with your spells and stuff like that. And all
Yeah.
your spells would be geared
Just,
to like
just waving your hands.
waving my
flank-
hands and cutting trees down and stuff. And then like
Actually, I take it back. That does sound.
And then your arch nemesis would be the druid.
yeah, because he'd always want to keep the trees up.
Yeah.
Or she, doesn't matter.
Lumberjack and Lumberjills
Lumberjills.
versus the druids.
But yeah,
so-
honestly, to reinforce Tony's point that it's like it like for a big game, both is required. For a game that that you're putting a lot of time in, you're gonna need both because like because if a game like an MMO, because you're like, especially ones you pay for subscriptions for, it's like they want you to be there, but you also want to be there too, right? Because it's like I've committed, I'm paying a monthly subscription. I know I want to play this game a lot. So it's like, well, sometimes you only have like 30 minutes to an hour, so you gotta. It's like, okay, what am I gonna do in this? And the MMO needs to provide you with that, or it's like, hey, I got the day off and I'm just gonna do nothing but play this game. And the game should also be able to provide you with the content that you could marathon through as well.
Yeah, I had an interesting board game example. I just this past Saturday played X-Wing.
Oh, okay. Like the miniature ones?
The miniature one. So Steph's cousin's husband bought a whole bunch of it and never played it. So he brought his figurines, his miniatures over, and he sat down with me. And he says, "Just so you know, I don't know how to play this game." So we took the base box out, and then we set up the little figurines, and we took out the quick start rules, and we played that 3 times. So I played the Rebels twice, and he played the Imperials once. No, wait. We played 3 times. I played.
You played Rebels
Imperials
twice and
once.
Imperials once. Yeah.
There you go. And so once we understood that, then we brought in the main rules. And so we played like the introduction rules, which are a little more complicated, which added stuff like, you could have an R2-D2 unit on your X-Wing, and there were shields that could absorb damage and you could regenerate them, and like missiles and range mattered. And so we played about six or 7 games in total. And it was just, I found that a better way to learn versus just going with all the complete rules and like starting one game and like trying to remember all the rules. I found going through them quickly allowed us to get to the point where at the end we had, ships all set up with all sorts of upgrades and crazy pilot skills and stuff like that. And we were playing a full game of X-Wing, which it reminded me what I liked about when I always say to you guys, oh, I want to have a card game night. Like that is what I like, is like when you have like a ton of games, because it allows, you know, to get your head wrapped around it. And I was thinking about that when I was playing the video games, that I kind of like the video games where I can fail a lot so that I can get good and then get through it, I guess is what I'm saying. Whereas I find with some RPGs, particularly Japanese RPGs, is that I'm 30 hours in and I'm like, and then I'm just stuck. And then it's
nothing's more frustrating than a game over screen every 15 minutes.
Yeah. Especially like the old style where it's like, did you save?
Oh, please, did I save? When did you last save? 3 hours ago. I'm done with this cartridge.
Well, which is like that again. That's something that's like that's getting less and less of a thing.
But yeah, but like if you go into like you're playing an MMO or even just like Dragon Age or something, and you go into a Coliseum or something, and you go into a battle and you're defeated, you get kicked out with 1 hit point. You pick yourself up. You pay the cost to repair your armor and get yourself back up to full health, and then you go out and you experience more. But you shouldn't lose something significant. You shouldn't lose 6 hours of game time because you went into a battle and you lost.
Yeah.
There needs to be some kind of, I don't know, fail safe that way.
Yeah. Well, like I feel that with RPGs, like a lot of them now, it's like if particularly if you fail, like if you're at a boss fight, like sometimes they'll just restart the boss fight, right? Like it's like, okay, here you go, or put you right outside of that spot of when you went in to fight the boss.
Yeah, well, I've
I
been
think
playing,
that's kind of like a byproduct of gamers essentially getting older, have less and less time to play, so
and there's more and more games to play.
And there's more games to play, exactly.
So like everyone's fighting over like your time. So they got to make it so there's less downtime.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now that being said, like there's certain people that would still like those older school games, but that's the cool thing about this market is that there's pretty much a game for anyone, right?
I like those older school games, but I don't always have time to play. This is the same with grinding, right? You know, like there's no time to play. But grinding is fun, but you don't always have time to grind.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to wrap this discussion up with: is trophy hunting grinding, and does it distract you from the game?
Yes.
Oh my god.
Yes, it is grinding. Yes, it is distracting sometimes. But it's also like awesome. Artificially inflates playtime on some games.
Yes. Okay, now you're getting somewhere because I know what you mean. Matt loves his trophies. I'm not going to diminish the value of a trophy because he works hard for them and they're important, and high five. I don't have the tolerance or the stamina to go out and hunt trophies, but I've played games like the one immediately jumped into my mind, Armello. It's basically like a board game, card game, turn-based adventure game that for PC, mind you. I don't know if it's for the other consoles, but I played it on
the PS4
on
as well.
PC. Yeah, really, really fun game. But then once I realized that, they were keeping track of how many times I played particular characters, and, it would start unlocking different things, then it was kind of encouraged me to play the other classes that I didn't like or I wasn't great with. But, then you start getting like these little ticks and awards for, oh, hey, you played with this particular character 20 times. It's like, oh, well, now I'm starting to feel measured and judged, and I kind of lost interest in the game. I wasn't playing it because I wanted to play it. I was playing it because I wanted to play it with this character 20 times, and I wasn't enjoying it, but I was looking for that number, and I was like, well, no, this isn't fun anymore, and I immediately stopped playing the game. So it was the trophy hunt that killed the game for me, and it wasn't my hunt. The game was keeping track for me, and then I don't know. That was
that's like
that
stuff
just
you
jumped
can
into
ignore
my head right away.
Too, though, right?
Yeah, exactly, very much so. But once I realized that the metrics was happening, it kind of took the fun out of it.
That's interesting. Yeah, I've never thought of it that way. Because like the way I'm such a grazer when it comes to games that it's like I've come a far way with trophies.
Yeah.
Like
Or
their trophy,
it-
my trophiness now is like it's like I'll play a game. I'll get you just naturally organically get trophies for it. But if I truly love the game, then I'm gonna go back and I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna platinum this one. Unless it's like a completely BS like trophy list, and then I'm like not gonna do it. But like if I really like a game, I'll be like, yeah, sure, I'll get the platinum for this. Then it's like it's almost like yeah, I'll try new things because it's like sure, like you might not like some of the stuff, but like it might show you a different way to play that you weren't expecting that you might enjoy more too, right? So it like it gives you the option to it's like, hey, try it this way and see if you like it, kind of thing.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Lane.
A good example would be what's that game you're talking about?
Final Fantasy.
Armorello?
Cole.
Armello
Play
was the
Cole.
one I was talking about.
You play Infamous.
Infamous. Infamous is a great example.
Yeah, that's
I got
true.
a platinum on Infamous, and I would probably never play the evil Cole,
Hmm.
but I'm like, hey, platinum trophy, let's play this.
Yeah, because you need to
so
be
you,
evil.
you
to
kind
do
of
it.
two play styles.
Hmm.
One that I would normally not try, but
Mhm.
platinum trophy made me try that.
But would Easter eggs serve the same function, like hidden things like in the game that you find if you just kind of work at it in different ways versus like I feel like the trophy kind of obviously tells you like, bing, you've done this. Like, do you
No,
like?
if it again, just kind of I see where you're going with it, and there was something about Arkham City, where I'm Batman, I'm flying around,
yeah.
I'm fighting bad guys and everything, and
Wait
then
a
all of a sudden
minute.
there's this big green question mark on the wall, and now I'm immediately distracted chasing these little question marks all over the place, and I'm like, if the Riddler had this much time, energy, and resources to set up these little mousetrap little things for Batman, like maybe he is cool. Maybe the Riddler does have an important role to play.
The
But
Riddler,
I just found
the Riddler is the best Batman villain.
perhaps, but I just found that in such a dark world, why all these little green question marks were everywhere. I found it took me out of my Batman experience.
See,
it took me out.
as an aside, I haven't played the second one, but the first one I loved it because the whole premise of the Riddler is that he thinks he's smarter than everybody else. So the point is that he put all those question marks so that they were obvious that you would notice because they don't fit in the dark grim world, but he made them hard to find because the idea is like, I'm so much smarter than you, I put them everywhere. Like it's just a Riddler thing to do. That's
But it
why
was just like I'm up on a rooftop climbing through like page wire fences and trying to make trick shots with my Batarang when there's like 16 thugs on the street below me chanting trying to get my attention when there's like somebody tied to the top of a tower way over there, and like I said, I'm trying to make trick shots with my Batarang because I've got more important things to do. I'm chasing Easter eggs. I should be saving the person tied to the building.
See, with a game like that, you should like not you should, but like the way I play Batman is that I just played through the main story.
Wait a minute, who's Batman now?
I'm Batman.
Okay.
I'm Batman.
I'm Batman.
When I played through Batman, I was like, I just played through the main story, and then after I beat it, then I went back and started messing around with the other stuff, right? Because it's like you've experienced the way that it's meant to, not meant to be played, but like it's like you've experienced the main storyline, and now it's like, oh, you enjoyed that, so why don't you go back and do some other stuff like the challenges and stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's usually.
So it's more for replayability. I just find that
yeah, I would say
maybe it's just the way I am. Maybe I'm not confessing that I have a problem that I get distracted easily. That like there should be like an option maybe in the configuration is like main story only. So like just kind of eliminates all the the flags for the subquests. So it's like this is the track you want to be on. Follow the yellow blippy thing on your map.
That's
Nothing else will show
great
up.
idea.
Well, in Batman it would be easy because you could just say which villains do you want in this game.
Yeah, and you
Exactly.
just shut Riddler
Uncheck
off
the Riddler off.
Yeah.
Shut Riddler
Or
off,
turn
yeah.
out, or if you're doing it right, turn everyone else
That-
off and just leave the Riddler on.
Tony, that's actually like I've never really thought of it before because like it's not really like for me it doesn't really matter, but that's actually a really cool idea because like some people would just want to play for the story and
Yeah,
like not
exactly.
care about the extras at all, and then you can just turn it on. Like it's like I really like that. Then you would go back and you would turn it on. See, because it sounds
could
like
just
for
be a
me
list of
is
things.
that you like the immersion of storytelling. But
Mhm.
the way you play is that if there's things to do, you have to do them.
Yes.
So
I have to talk to everybody. I have to. I have to explore every shadowy part of the map.
So it's like it's like literally.
And it's
you're,
so
you're
annoying because I
you're
really want to beat the game.
You're conflicting against yourself because it's,
It's so you don't listen to your inner Lenny, is what you're saying.
yeah.
Yeah.
So inside you have a
Don't
little
listen to
Lenny
the inner
saying,
Lenny. Yeah. I
Lenny
need to. I
saying-
need to listen to Scott, not Len. I need to show up and fight Joker completely unprepared and underleveled instead of checking out every little nook and cranny like Len is.
That's a good question, though. Is
Len
Batman...
takes forever to get here, but at least
Yeah.
he gets there and he kicks.
But when
some
he's
ass.
Batman, he's Batman.
He's Batman.
And he's got everything.
Meanwhile, we gotta save everybody. We gotta get there quick. I'm Batman. I should be able to do this just with a basic batarang.
It's all right. Luckily, Christmas Eve is 40 hours long.
Nice.
Well, one of the best Batman comic series is The Long Halloween. So, all right, that was the main discussion. I don't know if anyone has anything they want to say that they're excited about or upcoming things for wrap up. But I think
I'm excited about Civilization 6 because it just popped up in my library today.
It
Thank
also
you,
popped-
boys.
It popped up in mine too.
I didn't pop up in mine.
No, sorry,
Um,
Scott.
No,
But
the
Hobo the RPG, I got to notice about that. So
hobo.
I didn't
it's an
even heard of
RPG where you are a hobo.
that. Sounds sad.
Go on. Well, not really. It's a free life.
Are you
it
the
could go
littlest
either
hobo
way.
though?
No, like just go look up Hobo RPG.
I don't
And
know.
yeah, it's the most.
Wait,
There's
was it
two.
you guys that were telling me what the original meaning of hobo was?
No, because I have no idea what it is.
When you're a hobo on the trains, you're homeward bound.
Oh.
Hobo, short homeward bound.
Huh. So,
There's two of
So
them.
sorry, continue.
so the
Carry on.
definition of what we call a hobo now is actually different than what it was originally meant for.
Exactly.
That's crazy. Anyway, sorry, Scott. Go ahead.
No, there's not much to report. It's just I don't know if it's any good. I just popped up and it was one of those names. I'm like, oh. And then there's two of them. There's one Hobo RPG, but then there's Hobo Tough Life, and Hobo Tough Life is a city survival RPG. But then there's this other Hobo.
Are
I
these
didn't
all
realize
on
this-
Steam or iPad or something? Or?
No, it just came up on my Twitter feed. So the one is available.
Oh.
I think it's been greenlit by Steam.
Steam
Project
Greenlight. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Greenlight.
You said Greenlight. I knew exactly what you meant.
Yeah, Hobo Tough Life, and then there's another one, Hobo. Yeah, so it's very bizarre.
Hmm.
So that's my random. That's not actually what I'm interested in. It was just one of those things that came up, and I was just like, that just seems very surreal.
Okay. Yeah, and then we just mentioned hobo 15 times, so you're welcome, hobo producers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
right.
like
Yeah.
our 3 viewers will really
Yeah.
appreciate the hobo.
Yeah.
I have something that I want to talk about a little bit now, but I think we should do it in a future episode because I have a little thing called PlayStation VR now.
Yes, I'm interested. I want to know
Oh,
more.
you actually got it?
I actually got it. I used the fact that we lived in a small town to our advantage because I don't think too many people in our small town actually were looking for it. So I found it. I went on my lunch break on the day it came out, and I got one.
Nice.
So I've been playing around with it. It's been when it's awesome, it's super awesome. But when it's like finicky, it's really crappy. But well, no,
All
it's
right.
just that like the setup that I have right now, I have to move some things around. I got to figure it out. But like there's certain games that have just been out of this world awesome, literally because you play a space pilot. But yeah, so it's been great.
So it's the Star Fox I was looking for.
Yes, oh my god, yes, it totally is. But yeah, so I don't want to talk about it too much now because I feel like we could talk about it for a whole another topic.
We could do a no time to play through.
Yeah, we could actually. Oh, that'd be a. Yeah, because it also goes to the TV. Yeah, my producer mind is like going crazy right now. But yeah, I think we
challenge accepted.
Yeah, we could put like graphics on top that slide around.
No.
And then have our
it's not
little
going that
faces pop
crazy.
up.
It's just like
Clip art. We need more clip art.
Yeah, we do need more clip art.
Oh.
Right, Len?
I'm on it.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. What? I wanted to contribute something really useful here, but I got nothing, guys.
No,
Sorry.
Well, you had Civ 6, and that's what you're
got Civ
excited
6.
for.
Yeah, Civ 6. I'm excited.
And then Lenny, and then Matt's excited about VR.
I'm excited for VR, Final Fantasy. World of Final Fantasy is coming out next week. So is the trading card game. Or is
That's
that
true.
Yeah, the trading card game. I'm interested in it, and hopefully it'll be awesome. And then what do you got, Lenny?
Not sure I'm excited about anything except maybe I would also enjoy some VR if I had it. It is quite cool.
Well, you are.
Sounds like a trip downstairs is in order.
You are 2 doors away from a working VR set.
Yeah.
Just real quick, the Swan Man Games is the people that make the Hobo RPG that popped up in my. It looks funny. I don't know why it's so funny, but it's not quite as cool as VR, and it's not what I'm excited about. But
but you're not going to mention anything that you are excited about?
I'm excited about. Well, I must confess I'm quite impressed with X-Wing. We're gonna probably try to play that again, but I did pick up an RPG that I think I was telling Matt about. This is that the guy who who wrote Robin's Laws, which is like one of the best GM helper books, which is describing how to run a very effective RPG campaign session.
Mm-hmm.
He invented this game that basically solves the problem that investigative people have with RPGs, which is like, I'm going to look in the room. Okay, roll your perception. And it's like, oh, I don't get it. Oh, well, you didn't notice anything. And it's very frustrating if you have an investigative character. So what this system he's invented called the Gumshoe system is, if you have the appropriate skill and you say, I'm going to say it's a CSI, so you guys are all CSI people, and you show up and say, okay, we're going to look in this mercy, and I'm going to look for this. I'm looking for, how the person died and looking for blood marks or whatever, and I have a forensic skill. Then the GM provides you with all the clues that would give you. And so then the game is about you as the players figuring out from those clues where to go. So you're never, as long any information task, as long as you have the skill, you can get the information. And then it's how you spend more time being an investigator trying to piece them together to figure out where to go. And I've explained the game very simply, but it took like the guy 250 pages to build the structure so that you can build these adventures yourself for them. So the one I picked up was the space one. So it's like you guys are, I guess, sort of like Mass Effect, like you're marshals that go from planet to planet. Spectres. I forget what they call them. They call them something else because, trademark. But it's a similar sort of thing or like even the Enterprise, same thing. Like you're going from planet to planet, doing different things. And so again, you guys have different skills. So if you're the engineer, you can say, well, I'm going to scan the planet for life forms, and like, oh, you find this information, and like it's no role. It's just that's the information. So the challenge is that you have a bit more of the puzzle element of it to it, and you have like there is still like dice rolling for combat and stuff where chance plays an impact, but the idea is that you can drive the story and play more of a gumshoe investigative thing rather than just I'm going to kick down the door and look for the monster sort of thing. So I've picked it up and I'm going to read it hopefully in the next week or so, and I think it's going to be interesting. So
cool.
That's
pretty cool.
Yeah, I'll let you guys know, and maybe we'll even run one, and then we can have our feedback on it. I know Tony likes the investigations.
Yeah, I like that kind of stuff.
Investigations.
I like looking around.
So that was mine. So who have we done? We've done everyone, but I think Lenny.
No, I think Because Lenny
Yeah,
said
I really didn't have anything to be excited about.
except for my VR. That was what he was.
Yeah.
Except for actually thinking about it, a few of those games, and I won't talk about them, but there's a couple games for that headset that I'm super stoked to play the full game.
Oh, okay. Which I think we'll talk about. I think that deserves an episode on itself, or at least a topic for.
At least a good conversation.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah.
So how many games do you have this? I just want to mentally prepare myself for when I come up there and you're like, "Hey, Scott the Doubter, you need to put."
There's a demo disc that I've kept on there that has like a few. I would say there'd probably be like maybe half a dozen to like 8, like 6 to 10, maybe.
Oh, hold on. A little off topic.
Go on.
The what is it called? The mini NES.
Oh,
yeah,
NES
yeah.
Classic, yeah.
Oh, I'm excited to get that.
Yeah, that's something to get excited about.
Well,
Yeah, I forgot all about that.
That's not off topic.
Well, it kind of was because you were talking about games for the VR.
Talking about
so-
VR.
Oh, right.
And you're like,
Yeah,
no,
but
I
it-
want to go way beyond VR.
VR
I wanna
's-
go right-
It's just virtual, Lenny. You're talking about a real machine.
Oh man. But yeah, when you're up, Scott, we'll have you're the Doubter in here, and actually, I have a perfect game for you. So, which we will talk about on a different.
If it's chess, I'm gonna laugh.
Nope, it's not.
Okay.
You can play
Stop
chess.
laughing. It's not
Virtual
chess. Stop
reality
laughing.
chess.
It's a game that
waiting
answers
for Matt to say-
your major problem with VR, and this is a game that answers it and throws it back in your face and says,
Really?
"No, this
Well,
isn't."
tune in next episode
Yeah.
to find out what that is. All right. Well, I think we've wrapped up. Thank you guys for an interesting discussion.
This has been
Thank
wonderful.
you.
Thank you.
All right. The sun was warm on the island. The surrounding sea was a bright green, teeming with life. On the beach, under an umbrella, the two racing friends reclined. The table covered with food was between them. The resort, run by one of their cousins, was nestled in the jungle behind. Turtle leaned forward and poured 2 glasses of fruit punch. He drank from the first glass and then offered the second to the hare. Fancy a race? The turtle chuckled. No, Rabbit said, clinking his glass with Turtle's. I've had enough of competition. The sun is shining and the beach is beautiful. There's so much to experience out here. There is no time to play.